I want to have a copy of this as well. So we're now recording as well, Sister Parks. We're excited. And also, to our topic today, before we release it to Sister Parks, is a simple procedure. Man, how simple is that? A simple procedure. Then without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we want you guys to produce high. I want you to do whatever you need to do. But I want to introduce to some and present to others, Sister LaQuita Parks. God bless you.
Ooh, thank you so very much, Kevin. You know what? You are the best introducer in American history. So I appreciate that, man. I tell you, I need to pay you. If you're not getting paid already, hit me up. I need to send you a check because that is always an awesome introduction. So today we are back for our third in a series of What's Your Story? So what's your story? 100% of everybody living and dead has a story. And with PayPro-V Publishing, PayPro-V means pain, progress, victory. And we help you take your story from a thought to a realization. So I'm going to share my screen right quick so you guys can kind of have a look see. And we have some more people joining us. Hello, Miss Beal, Miss Mary Beal, and Kimberly Raven in the house. Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So I am going to share my screen and we're going to talk about a simple procedure. Okay. So everything, like I just said, everybody living or dead has a story. And some things your story might start out as a simple one. And it's a part of your story, but sometimes simple things lead to complicated issues. And that was my story. That was a part of my story. So before we get started, I want to thank Kevin Vaughn always for just being supportive and just being a fan of PayPro-V Publishing. We have a lot of sponsors. We could not do this without sponsors. And I just like to always recognize my sponsors. I am very appreciative for all of my supporters. And so these are my sponsors: Johnny Brown with Legal Shield, Kevin King with Alpha Aviation, the Yono Clip, Bob Mackey and Michael Green, as well as America's Supermom, Lachelle Atkins, Barbara Beckley with the Diamond Factor, Darian Hardiman with Great Apparel, Shaquanda Mitchell with SM Events, and LaShonda Parks and SLD Creative Designs and Avon. So I'm very, very grateful for them. So I just want to take a second to recognize them. And if anybody's listening and they are in need of any of these services, please reach out to payprovpublishing.com and we can hook you up. So I want to do a quick recap. We do this every month, the third Wednesday of every month. We do our segment called What's Your Story? Okay, so I want to just kind of recap. So the first month that we did this, it was start. It was all about how to start your story. Even though, like I said, 100% of everybody living and dead has a story, everybody doesn't know how to start their story. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to begin the process of writing their story. And there's fear, fear that somebody might not like their story, somebody might judge them, family members might get upset. So whatever the reason, sometimes people are just scared to tell their story. And some people just don't even think they have a story, but I am here to tell you that you do have a story. So how do you start? We talked about what's your story. Okay. And so this is our monthly series on how to write your story. So you start. How do you do it? You just start your story, okay? And how do you start? You set goals. You think positively. Now, when I say set goals, you always set your goal with an end game in mind. So you set your goals and say, okay, I want to write a story. Well, you do when you want to have your story in your hand. So we like to call that taking your story from a thought to a realization. So you have to set a goal. So when you start, you can say, hey, I want to start writing my story, but I want to have it out by my birthday or my mother's birthday or Father's Day. So you set a goal, but make sure it's a realistic goal, okay? Then you think positively. So you guys see that, just START? You see how I did that play on words?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just start. Okay. So you set your goals and then you think positively. Nothing can happen if you think negatively. If you think I can't do it, then guess what? You can't do it. And then you want to acknowledge your why. Why am I writing this story? Am I writing this story because I want to heal? Am I writing my story because I want to entertain? Am I writing my story because I want to notify? I want to inform? Or am I writing my story just as a whistleblower? You know, whistleblowers have stories too. So you want to acknowledge your why. And then you want to retrain your brain. Sometimes we are set our sights, or we've conditioned ourselves to say what we can't do, or what other people feel that we can't do, or we're operating ourselves from somebody else's vision. So you have to retrain your brain to do your story the way that you want to do your story. Somebody said to me yesterday, be uniquely you. Our stories might be similar, but it's different. If we grew up, I grew in up in the household with two sisters, and we have different memories of our mom. We have a different feeling about our childhood. So I had to train my brain that what I saw in my childhood, or what I went through in my life, what those were my experiences. So you retrain your brain the way that you see things. And last but not least, take baby steps. Sometimes when we overthink things, we make our vision too big, then what happens? So what happens when you start trying to do something and then you start thinking here, 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 and before you know it, you're in Georgia and your thinking is all the way in Massachusetts? It gets to be overwhelming. So what happens? Most of the time when people get overwhelmed, what do?
Quit.
You guys can talk back to me. It's okay. You can come off of mute and talk back to me. So what do you
They,
do when you stop, right? Is that what you
right.
said,
Yeah,
Laverne?
exactly.
You stop. So when it gets to be too much and you start to overthink things, instead of taking baby steps, most people just quit.
Mhm.
So when you start writing your story, we don't quit, we take baby steps. We don't overthink, but we retrain our brain. And sometimes we do have to take a step back. Now, taking a step back does not mean quitting. Taking a step back means that I'm just having to take a step back and I'm just having to look at the big picture, because somebody tell me, can you see the big picture when it's this close or when it's pulled back some?
Pulled back,
You have to
obviously.
pull it back some in
Mhm.
order to see the big picture. Exactly. So that's how we just start. And then we talk about this. My I have a nice little setup here, and it's just going faster than I wanted it to go. We set our goals, we think positive, we acknowledge our why, we retrain our brain, and then we take baby steps. Okay, so then we talk about the heart center of our story. So last month we talked about my heart centered story. So that's whatever your story is, there's a heart of the story. Whatever you've gone through, whatever you're writing about, there's a heart or your purpose. So David, your story, and David is one of Pedro V's newest authors. His book will be coming out soon. It's a book of devotions. But there was a place that came from. That was a heart-centered story, right, David?
That's
You
true.
didn't, you woke up and you started writing that. There was something that pricked your heart that told you that this is something that I need to do, right?
That's correct.
So that's the heart center of your story. Miss Mary Beal, you have a heart centered story, and it's an awesome heart centered story. So there is something, we talked about that yesterday. Miss Mary is another one of our Pay Pro V authors whose book is coming out soon. But there is a heart centered reason for why she's doing her story. She could have chosen to do her story about anything, but she took it from this heart centered point. And when you write your story, whatever it is, from the heart center, then you write with compassion, and you resonate to your audience, and it gives them a better vision, or a better view into who you are. Okay, so we talked about the heart center. So that was February, and of course February was Heart Month and Heart Health Month, love. Some people call it Love Month, Valentine's Day. So we talked about the heart centered story. And now this month, this session is a simple procedure. Okay. So I want to share just a little bit of my story, and my story was called A Simple Procedure. Oops.
Hey, it's good to have you here. Come on in, have a seat. Welcome to the Beyond Picket Fences podcast. We are your hosts, Mandy Beneke and Naomi Marquez.
If I had to count on a calendar how many times out of a month that I cry, it's probably every single day. If I don't cry, I want to. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm saying, okay, suck it up, buttercup, suck it up. I had somebody to tell me it's okay to have a pity party, just don't stay at the party too long. So on those days when I start crying and I really, really want to be crying, I say to myself, okay, go ahead and have your party, LaQuita. Just don't stay at the party too long.
It was supposed to be a simple procedure. So when I was a child, I was 4 years old, and I had sore throat after sore throat after sore throat. My mom took me to the doctor, and they said it's her tonsils. Her tonsils have to come out. The doctors assured my mom that it would be a simple procedure. And I am here to tell you that there was nothing simple about that procedure. What was supposed to be a simple procedure took me on a roller coaster ride of my life that has affected me all of my life. But it's a part of my story. So today, I want to share with you, and I want you guys to share. And I've invited Miss Karen Nance to come, and you guys are all invited to share your simple procedure stories. A simple procedure story is something that you thought was just going to be simple. It was going to be easy. It was going to be, kind of like, I'm just going to run right down the street to the store. And then something happens on the way to the store that changes your life forever. Or I have one of my sponsors, his name is Johnny Brown. He works for the Kroger company, and he tells me the story that he went to get a job just for the summer because he just needed something to do to earn a couple of dollars during the summer. And he was only supposed to be there just for a summer. And he's been at Kroger for 40 years. He was just supposed to go there just for a little while. So I was only supposed to go into the hospital to have my tonsils removed. And that simple procedure, and those were the words that the doctor told my mom. It's a simple procedure. And technically, having one's tonsils removed is a simple procedure. You go in, you take the tonsils out, you're home in a day or so. Now they can do it laser. You're home in a day or so, and you get ice cream for the next couple of weeks or something really soft for the next couple of weeks, and then you're done, right? That wasn't my story. My story was I went in the hospital. I had my tonsils taken out. I was supposed to go home. I was supposed to be able to get ice cream, but who knew that a nurse would come into my room, take a needle, jab me into the thigh with my needle, poison the bone in my leg. I had to go into surgery, 15 surgeries on my right leg and foot later, and all of these other debilitating issues and a tsunami of pain that has affected me all of my life. Who would have known that it all started from a simple procedure? But that's my story. So writing your story, we have to you start where you are. So if I'm writing my story, and I have written my story, if I'm writing my story, I can start from the simple procedure and it grows. So if I'm starting from, I was getting my tonsils removed, I can name that story. I can take so many different elements of that story, and that's a part of my life. I can have a whole story about not getting my ice cream. Where is my ice cream? When I wrote my first story, Walking Limitations, all I remembered was ice cream. And I did not know why I had this memory of ice cream. So I asked my uncles, because my mom had passed away by that time. I asked my uncles, well, why do I keep thinking about ice cream? And they said, because the doctors told your mom that you were going to be able to eat ice cream, and they told you that you were going to be able to eat ice cream. So your mom left to go get you some ice cream so that it would be at home when you got there. So that was fascinating to me because I did not hold the simple procedure or the pain from it in my head. I held the ice cream. So in the midst of our stories, the simple procedures, we can tack on to those things that give life and not those things that cause hurt or death for us. Okay. So that's my simple procedure story. So now I want to talk to you about your simple procedure story. So Miss Karen Nance, please take a moment and introduce yourself. And I want to hear about your simple procedure story, because your simple procedure story has led you to where you are now with writing your own story. So let's talk about that.
Thank you for having me, and I appreciate the opportunity. I live in California. I've worked for government employment for my entire career, and I've always wanted to write a story about my grandmother. Growing up, my father didn't share too many stories about her, and I didn't actually learn about her till I was an adult. She lived to be 93 years old. She was born in Duluth, Minnesota, and there were many firsts associated with her. She was the first Black woman to be a police officer, a female police officer in California. I'm sorry, in Duluth, Minnesota. She was the first Black legislature stenographer, and she worked in Harlem during the Renaissance with W.E.B. Du Bois and some of the other notables. And so I learned about her as an adult, more about her, not directly from her, but from different research I had done. And so for the past, I would say, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, I've been accumulating documents. And I thought, because she was a stenographer and she kept a lot of documents, it would be easy just to put it into a book. And I wouldn't have to do too much work because she had done all the work for me because of her profession. And so for the past, I would say 3 or 4 years, I was trying to accumulate all these documents. And though she had many documents, they weren't in any particular order. So that was very time consuming and actually not part of what I thought would be an easy process. So I said, okay, that's going to take a while. So I have probably between 12 and 13 or 14 3-inch binders of documents from the early 1800s or mid 1800s up to when she died, which was in 1993. I'm sorry, 1992. And then I started trying to write her write her story. I'll just transcribe all these papers. And so I got a little bit frustrated. I made it to maybe 300 or 400 pages, and I said, "Is this the book?" And I consulted with a lot of people who I had never written a book before. And so I talked to several publishers and authors, and they were quoting me exorbitant prices. When I say exorbitant, I mean someone was quoting me 5,000, and the next person would be saying 10,000. And this isn't for the whole document. This was just to either edit. And then publishing was a different price. And then do you want to self-publish, or do you want to go the traditional route? So I was confused. And as Ms. LaQuita said in the beginning, when you have so many things in front of you, in your face, I just froze, and I couldn't move forward with writing the story, even though I had over 300 to 400 pages worth of the story written. And so I was very blessed in January of this year to meet Miss LaQuita Parks, and through a connection on LinkedIn. And she explained to me that we need to break this down into smaller segments. And that was my saving grace. And so I'm so grateful, because I know that I would have still been in that space where I wouldn't have been able to move forward. So I'm grateful, and that's my story.
Awesome. Awesome. So Karen, your story started out, you thought it was going to be a simple procedure, and it has migrated, and it has transformed. And my the terminology I like to use is an onion. So you started peeling it back, and it's not so simple. It's not so simple. However, it is definitely worthwhile. Would you say that it's worthwhile?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So that's your story. That's a part of your story. So it's not necessarily a simple procedure, and it doesn't have to be a simple procedure for it to be a meaningful procedure. So, Mr. Laverne, I want to hear from you. So tell me, share with me your simple procedure story.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Glad to be on this call today. Met Miss Parks through one of her recent authors recently, Miss Candace Rainey. And I saw her book and I was just overjoyed because I know that this simple procedure that I had started writing in this process started in 1993. And basically, it was similar to Ms. Park's story about the ice cream. 1965, just to open up and give you a little bit, me and my younger brother and my father went to the corner store to get some ice cream, push-up pops. And as we were in the store, me and my brother got the ice cream, and my father went to the rear of the store. And so we got the ice cream and we left the store and everything. And when we got back home, we went to in the house, me and my younger brother, and we wanted to show my mother what my father bought, the ice cream and everything. So we did that, gave her a little bit of ice cream and everything. And what we didn't know that my father was buying shotgun shells from the back of the store. So when we get back to the house and we go in and we jump on my mom's lap to give us some ice cream, my dad went to the closet to load a shotgun. And as he came out of the closet with the shotgun, with no expression on his face, he immediately said to my mom that I'm going to shoot you. Her name was Hattie. So he said, Hattie, I'm going to shoot you. So my mom put us down off of her lap, and the next thing we knew, it was this bang. And that was at age 7, and I am now 62 years old. And, you know, the pain that was associated with that Saturday morning at 12 o'clock in 1965, it has taken me to a whirlwind of emotions and bad decisions and things of that nature over the course of the years. And I just think that there's a simple procedure. We went to the corner store to get ice cream as a simple procedure and came back and that happened. So I just wanted I have information. I kind of sent it to Ms. Parks and it's all over the place. And I just need some guidance because I really need to get this out. Every time I hear of somebody writing a book, I will buy a book and I'll purchase someone else's book. But when it comes down to my book, it's too overwhelming. You know, I get started and I stop because, you know, I'm just, you know, and again, it's overwhelming and I just can't find time to get the words in. So yeah, that's my simple procedure. And I know this meeting Miss Parks and having a conversation with her on the phone, the first time I talked to her, you know, it was just motivating for me to hear somebody with that much zeal and enthusiasm about something that I'm trying to produce. You know, it just made a lot of sense to me. So I'm glad to finally be on this call with all the rest of, you know, the authors to be or the authors that has already written a book, and mine is coming. So the title, I'm going to hold on to the title right now, and when it comes out, hopefully you guys will pick up a copy of that. But that's my simple procedure.
Laverne, thank you so much for sharing. I have there have been so many different streams or so many different directions with the simple procedure, and so I know I understand the pain of trying to share your story. Like I've shared this before, my book was Walking Limitations, and I never marketed my book. I wrote it because I was working with young people, and I did it to show them, if I can do it, you can. But it wasn't something that I really marketed, and I never shared my story on the level that I share it now. And I believe it's my story. I stick to it. Having your story has the power to heal somebody else through their story. So
Mhm.
wow, I understand. You know, as I've grown, I realize now, when I was younger, I was picked at to be picked on. The excerpt that I just played before we started, which was the little video. It's an actual interview, and I just got that interview today, and I may have already sent it to some of you, and I'll share it with you. But take a minute to listen. It's about 50 minutes. But I think it's well worth it. For me, I did the interview and I just listened to it today myself, and it was very emotional, but it's raw, and it's my real story. It's my real pain. And our stories have the power to heal somebody else, because we walk around every day. So my simple procedure started with going in the hospital to have my tonsils removed. So I walk around every day. Nobody knows the pain that I'm in unless I tell them. But there are times when things are going on with us, and I may be suffering with my pain in silence, but that silent pain, where I think it's silent pain, I'm pushing away people that love me. I'm pushing away people that care about me. They don't understand that. All they know
Right.
is mama's being funny, or the friend is like, oh, she don't want to be bothered, or she has an attitude. It isn't that at all. It's the pain that you're going into, and then the pain that's on the inside. If it does not come out, then it transforms itself into self-mutilation, self-abuse,
Mhm.
self-hatred. And it translates into all of those things. So I am a huge, 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 huge proponent of sharing your story. Now, I am a publisher, so don't get me wrong when I say this. Publishing your story, you don't have to publish your story to share your story. And you can publish your story, but you can publish your story and put it on your shelf. You can choose to do what you want to do with your story, but tell your story. Tell your story. Mr. Laverne, when I read your story, and honestly, and I'm not going to say that everybody on this call knows me now. I'm going to be very, very honest with you. And if it were all over the place, I'd tell you it was all over the place. Won't I, Miss Kimberly Raven? But I do offer coaching and developing, to help you organize your thoughts. And sometimes, because it's your story, sometimes we feel like our story is all over the place when it really isn't. It's just because from the emotions. And I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes we have to remove the emotions and tell the story. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Laverne, for sharing your story. And I'm so looking forward to working with you. So
Thank you.
Miss Kimberly Raven, since I picked on you, share with us your simple procedure story. And you're muted, darling.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kimberly Raven, located here in Atlanta, Georgia. So excited. I'm working on my first book with LaQuita. So my simple procedure, I have something, and I said, I knew it. I said, I know LaQuita's gonna call me. Get it ready. Get it ready. So I have like a few simple procedures. But this one I would love to share. So I'm going to share my simple procedure when I met LaQuita. From when I first met LaQuita up until today. So simple procedure meeting LaQuita. So I worked for, like Miss Karen, I worked for the government for 13 years. I used to work for the government for 13 years. During that time, I have two sons as well, but during that time they were engaging in recreational sports, football, and would come home and they'd be sore and aching and stuff like that. And as a mom, I'm like, okay, You know, of course you don't want to see them in pain. So I would massage them. And it was pretty good. I was pretty good. I was like, you know what? Let me go to school. Let me enter into massage school to learn how to take care of my babies. I was only just to go there to take care of my babies. That's the only reason why I wanted to be a massage therapist. Once I entered into school and found out the benefits of being a massage therapist, I decided to stay in it longer to help other people. So I started doing in-home massages on a consistent basis. Well, from there, I kind of wanted to get into corporate massage therapy. Found out through my cousin about LaQuita. She was working at Kroger at that time, and they was actually looking for in-house massage therapists to do chair massages. Called LaQuita, and I got in touch with her and set up. It was an interview that was set up, and it was over the phone. I was at work on my full-time job, and I kind of snuck off to do my phone interview. LaQuita was great. She was very nice, very well spoken. She was energetic, but little old me did not have all the credentials to start at a corporate organization. And so what LaQuita did instead was just blowing me off and say, oh, well, we'll just get your credentials and just come back and apply with us later. LaQuita took the time to tell me everything that I needed, all the credentials that I needed to apply and work for a Kroger corporate organization. I took her advice, went and got all my credentials, went back and applied, and I got the job. Here again, I thought I was only going to see LaQuita during Kroger time, that once a month on Thursday, for a few years, however long I was going to work there. Well, I did work for Kroger for maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe LaQuita, something like that, maybe 3, something like that. And I thought, well, once I left Kroger, that was it with LaQuita. Nope. From there, LaQuita would say, hey, I got this going on. Can you come do chair massage? I got this going on. Can you do chair massage? And from there, LaQuita and I built a relationship. We built a business relationship, and then we built a personal relationship as well. And then the more our relationship started to build, the more comfortable I became. And I was just, telling LaQuita little bits about me. And y'all know LaQuita, when you start talking about yourself, certain things, the first thing she's gonna say is, you need to tell your story. Well, I wasn't thinking about a book. I mean, I'm like, no, I'm good. But years went on by, LaQuita did not forget about Kimberly Raven. I don't care what she had going on, she would still call me. And LaQuita actually became a client of mine. So she became a massage client, and she supported my business. Here again, I only went to massage school just to learn how to massage my babies, not to have a business. I had my own business. I was doing corporate massage. From there, building a relationship with LaQuita, she helped me to become a better person, a better leader, and a better business owner. And she also helped me to start to heal within my personal life, because the more I was comfortable with her and sharing my story, the more comfortable she made me feel about my story. Because some things that happened in my past, I was embarrassed about. I was like, no, I'm not telling nobody that. But she made me feel comfortable. Here again, from massaging, now she got me writing my story and becoming an author. And so I went from just learning how to massage my babies, having my own massage business, working for a corporate company. I left my job in 2018 to focus on my massage business full time as an entrepreneur. And now I'm writing my own book. And then I just recorded my first audible book. Thanks to Karen Nance, who was on the phone, I just recorded my first audible book. Again, it only started with these two hands learning how to massage. And it just moved from there. But being connected with Miss LaQuita Parks pushed me from not only an entrepreneur, but an author as well. And that is my story.
Awesome. That is so, Thank you so much, girl. I'll pay you later. I got you. I got you. You know, there are people. So we're talking about a simple procedure and how what you think is a simple procedure for one thing can change your world, change your whole life for a lifetime. We all have a different simple procedure story. There are some people who are that you meet people who are very open to feedback. There are people, and in this business, I come across people who are not as open to feedback as others. But I will say, Kimberly Raven, from the first time I met her, she was just so open to feedback. And you know, when you're talking to somebody and they're resistant to what you have to say, it's like you're talking to them, but you're talking to a brick wall. She was just not that person. I'm happy to say that I worked in a position and with a company at that time that trusted my opinion. So they gave me the leeway to make the choices. And I was like, you're not going anywhere. We will, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We will. And she went and she did. I mean, it's like she checked off every single box that I gave her. She checked it off. And then fast forward, she didn't tell this part, but then she went into acting. So she left her government job and she she reinvented herself again. And on LinkedIn is a powerful tool. If you guys are not on LinkedIn, you need to get on LinkedIn. But we've kept in touch all these years. But she posted something, and it was I think you had done a movie or photo shoot or something. I forget what it was.
The black and white dress, or the one I just posted?
No. On LinkedIn before I don't know. It was probably maybe 6 months ago or 4 months,
Oh,
4 or
okay.
5 months ago. But I don't remember exactly what it was. But I sent her a message and I said, I'm so proud of you. How wonderful would it look to have published author next to your list of accomplishments? And she was like, okay. So we had a conversation and she said, oh, I want to do it, but I can't. And I said, okay, just give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. I said, all you need to do is blah, 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 blah. Do that. I said, and just do it. Just do that. I said, keep your thoughts organized. Do this. I said, and I will follow back up with you in 1 month. And in 1 month, we had a conversation and she said, let me send you what I have. And she had 11 pages. And I'm like, what? And I started reading them and I called her and she was like, I knew you were not going to let this go. And I was like, no, she was like, there you pushing me over the edge. And my favorite thing is I will push you over the edge, but it's always a soft landing. I will not push you over the edge without being there to catch you when you fall. So we're going to fall over together. But thank you so much, Kimberly Raven, for sharing your simple procedure story.
Thank you.
So Miss Bill, I'm going to pick on you next. Mr. David, I got you coming. I picked on you first. So I'm going to pick on Miss Bill. Miss Mary Bill, tell us your fabulous simple procedure story.
It's too long to tell, but I'll try and make it short. My simple procedure is that I love to take notes. I like to travel. And I started taking notes at Port Authority in 1969, just observing things. And that's a long story, but this is what got me into writing, just taking notes. And then I was fortunate to travel and live in Africa in the mid 70s. And that was another whole experience with a lot of notes. Then I got to go to Europe and live there for 6 years. So that's another a bunch of notes. Then I got to come back home to Georgia and to visit and work with my elderly mother. And that was another whole set of stories, which resulted in my first two books. I started out as a simple thing to honor her on her 99th birthday. And I asked 3 questions to the participants. And those questions led into the first book. But it was a simple thing, was just to attribute to my mother. Ended up with 2 books to tribute to her, because once I got started, I saw there was much more to this lady than I was giving her credit for. So again, now it is through her relationships that I'm working on this 3rd book, and it's about a friend of hers who is 108 years old. So my simple tribute to an elderly has led me into my 3rd book. And so I guess that is my simple story, and it continues because I have some more centenarians waiting in the wing to be written about. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Miss Mary, you stole my line. I love this story. Her story is the story that Miss Mary is writing is how to live well past 100 years old. And the subject of the story, Mother Shazer, is 108 years old, and she is still alive and well, and she has all of her faculties. So everybody on this call, I am probably the babe. No, Kimberly Raven is probably the baby on the call. She's probably the youngest person on the call. And even if she isn't, she looks like she is. And I was talking about Mother Shazer today, and I said she still has her faculties. So most of you know that I have an assistant who's a millennial. He's 24 years old. And so he turned around and he looked at me. He said, "Now, what does that mean?" I said, "What?" He said, "What does all her faculties mean?" I said, "Oh, Lord." I said, "You young folk," I said, "that's what us old folk means that's what we mean, is that she has all of her, she has all of her memory, she's still very strong in her thinking. She's still very versed in all of her skills. So she still have all her faculties." He was like, "Oh, I never heard that before." I'm like, "Really? Really? Talk about a simple procedure." Thank you so very much, Miss Mary, for sharing your simple procedure story, which is not a simple procedure story at all. One of my desires is to meet Mother Shazer as soon as I can, because I've never met anyone. My aunt was 95 years old. She passed away in January, and she was really the oldest person that I'd ever really met and had conversations, and she still had all of her faculties too. She could remember more than I could. She knew all about my simple procedure. She knew the details that I didn't know. So thank you so much, Miss Mary. Mr. Patterson, David Patterson, please, please, please share with us your simple procedure story.
Well, thank you. First, I want to say y'all stories are amazing. So definitely I'll be getting those books, each one of you has something that's significant. It's ironic. I always said that we were walking books, and each one of us build chapters, and the book only closes when we close out to be with God. And it's ironic, you talk about 100 years old. Mother George, one of the individuals at the villa that I sing sometimes. But anyway, when I go to the villa, she's 107. And she has all her faculties. As a matter of fact, she went online and ordered me a Bible. So when she told me, "I'm gonna get you a Bible," I say, "Okay." I'm thinking, well, her daughter will go get it. And she said, "No, I'm gonna go online, I'm gonna order it, and then when it comes, I'll give you a call and let you know it's in." I'm like, wow, I haven't ordered anything online. So that was impressive. The other part of the 100 years old is that I always told myself I was gonna live to be 100. After I saw this guy, you may or may not know who he is, George Burns. He said that he said he's gonna live to be 100, and when he said that, I must have been probably 20 something, maybe a little younger, and I said, "Well, I'm gonna live to be 100 too." And I proceed. So far, I'm trucking along through all the challenges I've had. And when he was 99, somebody said, "Well, George, what are your docs think about you drinking and smoking and chasing all the women?" He said, "I don't know, they all dead." So, so he outlived them all. So that's my thing. Well, my story is, I call it adventure. I'll just start with what the teacher told me when in the 60s. She said that I would be a factory worker with 5 kids. And, you know, she had named off these other kids. One would be an athlete, one would be a teacher, one be a scientist, one be an engineer. And when she got to me, she said, I'd be a factory worker with 5 kids. Well, in the 60s, the factory workers made about $12,000. I know because my whole family was in the factory. So me being kind of witty and quick on my feet, I said, well, that's okay. The kids laughing at you, so you better say something fast, right? So I said, well, that's okay. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to say $10,000 a year for 5 years. I'll graduate high school to 18. And then I'll take that 50,000, when I turn 23, I'll take that $50,000 and buy up a bunch of houses and I'll be fine. Well, I never did make it in the factory. What happened to those kids? The one who was supposed to be a teacher, she did become a teacher. The one supposed to be an engineer, me and him went off to college together. I graduated high school at 16 and a half, actually. The other was supposed to be an athlete. He never got past 5'4". He drove a popsicle truck. And the one that's supposed to be a scientist ended up on drugs. Well, that didn't mean that my life was easy because I got into crime. I almost did 3 to 5 years. And when I graduated high school, I got involved with some people and almost did 3 to 5 years. Fortunate enough, I wasn't a dumb kid, so I saved my money. And in 1975, I had $5,000 on my own and I got a good lawyer. So a good lawyer can't help you. And he said, well, I know you did the crime, but you're a good kid. Overall, I was a good kid. I mean, I was mannerable, respectful, did what I was supposed to do. And he got me off. And so I went back to the 10 people that I was hanging with. And I said, I'm leaving here. So I went out to school with my buddy. They couldn't, I stayed up there for 1.5 years in Ohio. And my parents couldn't keep me there. I was the only kid that had to work. And so a buddy of mine crossed the way, said, hey, let's join on the Army on the buddy plan. Well, I did plan on going to the military because of the fact that my grandfather was in the military. Well, at that point, we went to go take the test. We took the test. He didn't pass it. I passed it. He told me he's still going to go take the test. He never took the test again. So I go home and tell my mom and them, hey, I'm going to the military. Well, you know what mothers do. They break out crying. And my dad said, well, that's good. He's going to man up. So I went on it I went down to AFI station. When I went down there, I found out I didn't have to go because they didn't have no record of me. But I took the test again because once I started something, I finished it. And then when I actually got in the military, I met a Marine who became Army. And he told me, if I stayed in the military, I'd be retired now. So don't you never get out the military. Well, I made the decision to never get out the military. I actually did 37 years in the military. That process took me on a big adventure. Like Mary, I've traveled, I've seen a lot of countries, I've lived in a lot of states. I always said when the government take taxes, I take trips. So if you put me in one location, I look at 5 more locations. I mean, they paying for it, so I might as well do that, right? Well, as I told LaQuita, I've written my book in my head 1,000 times. It's like people say I'm gonna lose weight. I've written 1,000 books in my head. But my book is, like I said, I believe it will be an adventure. But how I started writing the devotions, when I was in Afghanistan, I was in a bad helicopter accident. I was laid up for 2.5 years. 5 surgeries later, I thought I was not going to walk. I thought that was a wrap for me. And before I had left, I had told some nurses, if something happened to me, I'm not coming back home. I'm going to finish the job. I'm not coming on half a person because I didn't have much confidence in people, because when I was a kid, I did work in a nursing home in the kitchen, but I would come bring the food up, right? And I would talk to the elderly people. So I always had attraction to them. And they would always say, this is a terrible way to live. People wouldn't come see them. They would abandon them. It just was there. So I vowed to myself that I would never allow myself to do that. So when I went over, this would be my 3rd war. So when I went over, I said, well, this time, if something happened to me, and I guess I must have predicted on myself, I'm not going to come back a half a person. They're not going to treat me. They treat me the way they treat me and neglect you as a whole person. Surely I can't be a half a person. Well, the lady told me they would take care of me anyway. I said, no, that's not going to happen. Well, lo and behold, I had the accident, and I thought I was going to be a half a person. And I didn't have an option to finish the job. I know this sounds a little morbid. I didn't have an option to finish the job. So they shipped me from Afghanistan to New Jersey. They did what they did. And then they sent me to Kentucky, and that's why I retired out at. but I know I have a story because I've listened you guys' stories. When the military, I've heard thousands of stories. I literally can say that because I ran medical units. So I interviewed a lot of people. I used to call myself the Larry King of the military. You know, I talked to a lot of people. My name is on a lot of people's records. And each one, these stories you guys are telling, I've heard it in some form or fashion. You know, we're similar, but we're different. And what I've learned is that, you know, the scenery has changed, the characters have changed, but the problems are the same. And people got a lot of challenges out there. And my devotions spent when I got saved, because there's other stuff to my stories I won't elaborate now for time's sake. But when I got saved, I decided to make some changes. And I always had the ability to write. My buddy, actually, who I was in college with, he actually has writing from me back then. So I decided to start writing devotions, and people said they like them. I wasn't even talking about writing the book. I was just sending them through the text, and they said, "Oh, these too long. These too long." But you know, they said, well, "Okay, I ain't gonna read them now. We'll read them later." But you know, now people are addicted. So I met LaQuita with a gentleman. I run men's group because I think that men struggle emotionally with a lot of things that they don't have opportunity to talk about, and we don't provide that window because we've been conditioned and kind of trained, if you will, to put up this facade. But as I always tell people, I see men that can shoot nails from their mouth and write their name on the wall, and then I can catch them in the fetal position 5 minutes later just from a breakup of a relationship. So I tried to help my men with that. But anyway, I met her through the gentleman Calvin Mann, who started Good Fathers Only. He came to one of my men's group. And just like I met him and was motivated by their energy and their desire to help and care for people. Well, he had LaQuita on his show, which she said she didn't even know this was going to be about that. But anyway, when she was on the show, the thing that drew me to her, I believe it was just the connection in spirit, was that she said something that I always thought was important. And this goes back to the teacher saying that, you know, I'd be a factory worker, because I always thought that people made things very complicated. You know, I was like, if you simplify something, then people can understand it. I think Kim said that LaQuita took step by step by step. Well, that was the draw card for me, is that somebody would spoon feed you. You know, it's not an insult to their intelligence or their ability, but if you could get them and spoon feed them, then at that point you could help them to be the best, because they'll always remember it. That's how I train my soldiers. And I trained my soldiers to be leaders. So if I got hit, they can still do the same thing. But I did it by spoon feeding them. At first, you know, men being what they are. And I mean, we have women too, but men always kind of, you know, what do you mean, man? What are you talking to me like this? But I was spoon feeding them because I wanted to make sure if them rounds start coming, I want to make sure you know how to use your weapon. I don't want you to be half with it, right? Yeah. So it was, and people always say, soldier, everything's life and death, but everything is life and death. You know, it don't have to be a physical death, but everything is life and death. So my story really centers on being able to help others. And that's where the devotions came, was to continue to help others. I call myself a servant leader. I'm willing to serve all day long. I'm a student of life. But if I need to step up and be a leader, I can. So I think with the devotions, and this just to be the first book, I told LaQuita I got, I think, 3 in me. So I'm hoping to catch up with Mary, I guess. I think that's right, Mary. Hoping to catch up. So that's my story. I know I talk fast. I'm not from New York, but I do talk fast.
Awesome.
I muted myself. Thank you so much
Awesome.
for sharing your
Awesome.
Yes.
simple procedure story. So I am so with this segment. So what's your story? There are people who believe that they don't have a story. There are people who believe that some people have a story, but they need to keep their stories to themselves. There are people who believe that nobody wants to hear their story. Their story isn't important. I had a conversation, and I probably shared this with a couple of you before, but I had a conversation with a lady who said, as we were sitting at the table, her brother passed, and she said, you know, I don't get it. I don't see why people tell their business and put their business in a book. This lady I know, you know, she wrote her story, and it wasn't but 45 pages, and she just told all her business, and I just don't agree with that. So I am very careful with my words. I'm very careful with how I use my words. So I said to her, I said, just because, I said, everybody has a right to heal through their story. Everybody has a right to tell their story. And just because you don't agree with the way in which that person tells their story does not mean that they should not tell their story. Every person has a right to walk around this earth and be lifted up and not be boggled down by the pain and the trauma and the anxiety from the story or from what somebody has put on them, the pain or the whatever they've endured. Everybody's story is not an unhappy story, but it's a story nonetheless. There are people who grew up with silver spoons in their mouths, and their stories are worse than those of us who grew up in with no shoes, or as my good friend, and I call Langston Hughes my friend because I like his poem, Mother to Son. They had tacks on the floor, bare. It was bare because life for me ain't been no crystal stair. So everybody has a story. Now, how you tell your story, then that's the thing. And with Pay-Per-View Publishing and the series, our aim is to provide people with a productive platform to tell your story, not exploit your story, but to tell your story in a way that you feel healed and in a way that you can connect with people. Because Laverne, Kim, David, Karen, Miss Mary, LaQuita, Kevin, Vaughn, we all have a story. And out of all of us, we have a different audience for our story. And sometimes those audiences intermingle and sometimes it doesn't. But we all have a story and there's a stage for it. So with the What's Your Story segments, we want to show people that you can tell your story. So if you don't radiate with a heart-centered story, if you can't get that, then maybe you can get a simple procedure story. And today, everybody telling their simple procedure story, it's a different story, but it was still your simple procedure story. And I can relate to every person's story on here. So writing your story, the only thing that gets in the way is we get ourselves in the way. There are people who say, oh, I can't do it. I can't write a story. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. How you decide, you can start like David started. He started with devotionals. I have a book called Good Morning Friends. It's a book of motivation and inspiration. And it started with me sending out every morning on Facebook, good morning, friends. And that was my story. Walking limitations by other people's definition is my story. And it's a true story. So how I tell my story and how you tell your story might look different, but it does not negate the fact that you need to tell your story. There is no healing that can occur without sharing your story. Now, Kevin Vaughn, I know you're still listening and you have me on mute, but I am interested in hearing your simple procedure story.
Well, thank you so much. I'm in the background here. How y'all doing today? Y'all better give Sister Parks a little hand there if you don't mind.
Yes.
Great job for everybody. I'm gonna tell you, Sister Parks, I wasn't prepared to do mine because I didn't really think about it too much. So I will put mine together so I'll be a little more organized. But right now I'm putting this network out on social media. So we got about 50 or 60 people that we've been pushing this out to, but I do appreciate the opportunity. I will be prepared next time on that one.
Well, good. Long as you know. So Kevin is my accountability partner. So everybody that says, hey, I got a story, Kevin is the one that reaches out and say, hey, you working on your story? Are you working on your story? Are you working on your story? Isn't that right, Kevin?
Yes,
I like to thank Kevin because he's the one that introduced me to you. Or you to me.
That's right.
Kevin, business partner, Sister Bill.
Yes.
Amen. That's powerful. Thank you so much, everyone. You guys are amazing. I do have a couple of comments, though, Sister Parks, I wanted to share with you. I was going to wait till the proper time, but I might as well do it now. One thing for sure, I got excited when God just dropped this in my spirit. He said, even God wrote his story. Come on now. Y'all got that one? God wrote his story. Come on now. Y'all got that? Did y'all get that?
Yes.
God wrote his story down. Guess what, guys? That's the reason why we got to do ours right there. Yes. He did his for us. So therefore, we got to do ours for him.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother.
Amen. You all got it early. It's all about the healing. It's all about healing.
That's right.
No doubt about it. And the second thing I wanted to share with you guys, I got excited about too, which I used to do with my grandparents when they were alive, is that you got to record them, guys. You got to record all your elders in the family. I don't care who they are, uncles, aunts, cousins, whatever. Document them. Talk to your family members, friends. And so, obviously everybody's not going to want to do it. That's okay. But those who want to, please document them. Ask questions. That's what I love about LaQuita. She knows how to ask the right questions to get you started, and it don't have to be invasive and, all mean spirited and anything like that. We do it all in love, right? But I want to encourage everybody to talk to their family members, get information. It's amazing how you're going to get information about your own family that will never be documented unless you ask. And I'm sure we heard that today, right? So
yes.
And it's so empowering because you know and understand a little bit about who you are when you hear some of the truth in the family, So it's so important to definitely interview our elders and those that you trust in the family as well, to give you information that they would love to share. I'm sure they would love to share it if we just ask. And we don't want to wait for somebody else to do it. We need to do it ourselves. That's our family. And because not only do you get the truth, as you know, when somebody else interviews my mom or dad, they may not tell everything like they would tell me, So y'all know what I mean there. So the point is that we look at that. And what I love about LaQuita Parks, ladies and gentlemen, she knows how to get it done. And that's what's exciting. That's why she's a part of our network. She's the #1 publisher on our network, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to bring everybody to her for getting your story started. So we're excited about that. And thank you so much, Sister Parks, for your awesomeness, your wonderful professionalism, and of course, bringing these wonderful people on yourself. You all give yourself a hand for being here today as well. Okay? Thank you so much. Back to you, LaQuita Parks. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kevin Bunn. When you start out to write your story, one thing that I want to add in it being a simple procedure, there are going to be people who are going to disagree with your story. And I know that in everybody on this call, in the avenues that you've gone to even start writing your story, we do those things that are normal. So it is normal for you to kind of get somebody else's opinion. Well, let me ask you a question about this. Well, what do you think about this? Or let me share something with you, or let me get your opinion on this. And have you ever found yourself where you've done that and then you regret that you did it? You're like, man, I should have never even asked her, or I should have never even asked him. Have you ever been there before?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
You get so excited,
Most definitely.
and this is what I'm gonna do, and you ask somebody, and they rain on your parade.
Oh, yes.
I call them. Somebody called me a shine blocker. You're just blocking my shine. And I say, that's me. And, I'm not a shine blocker, but that's me. I'm a shine blocker. I believe that you have, I think I shared this with Miss Karen before. I was like, you can do what you want to do. Sometimes it costs. And then sometimes you just have to be okay with no. And sometimes when somebody told me once, sometimes you can't share your dream with everybody because they can't see it. And that's okay because it's your dream. And it doesn't matter if I can't see it, it's not for me to see. And sometimes you have, I like to call it the sandwich. So I like my sandwich a certain way. Okay. So I want you guys to walk through this with me. I want you to make a sandwich. And so for me, I like my bread. I got my, some nice bread, and probably like the butter croissant bread. I like that bread. It's kind of flaky and it has that buttery taste to it. And it's really, really kind of crispy on the outside, but real kind of soft on the inside. So I like to spread a little mayo. And now just enough mayo to wet the bread. I don't like to see it on the outside of the bread. I don't like it gooped up and gonky. I don't like that. My grandmother did. She wanted a little bit of meat with her mayonnaise. I just want a little mayonnaise with my sandwich. So I spread it evenly. My bread has to be spread. My mayonnaise has to be spread evenly. And then I like a little a little mustard. So I take it and I kind of swizzle it around, but then I take the knife and I spread it evenly. Okay. And then I'm not eating meat right now, but when I was, I didn't do pork at all, but I did turkey. Now see, my turkey had to be folded. Okay. Folded, this part and then folded that part. And then my cheese had to go on top and it had to be neat. And then I liked lettuce and tomatoes sometimes, but then I wanted my sandwich cut, and I didn't cut it in half. I cut it in the triangle. Okay. And then I had to open up my sandwich and then put my chips in the middle of the plate. And that was a perfect sandwich. Okay.
Right.
This is the way that I like my sandwich. Everybody doesn't like their sandwich like that. And some people would say that's a waste of time. You taking too long to fix the sandwich. It don't matter what the sandwich look like because you're going to eat it anyway. It all tastes the same when it goes down. It all looks the same when it comes out. But guess what? That's my sandwich. It's how I want my sandwich to be fixed. And that's the way with our stories. It's your story. Tell your story the way that you want to tell your story. Your simple procedure story, Karen, is your simple procedure story. It is not your brothers, it's not your uncles, it's not your cousins. David, tell your story the way that you want. If you want to tell your story in parables, then tell your story in parables. Kimberly Raven, butterfly in a jar. If you want the jar to fly and the butterfly to sit still, that's your story. Tell your story. And Mr. Laverne, when you tell your story, your ice cream story doesn't have to be a source of pain after you tell your story. It's it can be a source of healing. Because now, for me, every time I thought about the nurse, I started to wonder, well, whatever happened to her? Whatever happened to her? Did she have children? Did she think about me? Did she know what my life has been like? Does she even care? Did she even think, is she even still alive? Those are the thoughts that came. And there were people who said, it doesn't make sense. You can't change what happened to you. So what's the point in telling your story? Because I needed to heal through my story. And the only way that I could be here to help you and to help other people and to help myself is to heal through telling my story. So all of our simple procedure stories have a purpose. All of our simple procedure stories have a plan. There's a purpose in the planning. And we didn't go through it for nothing. There was a reason that we went through it. And I believe that reason is to help other people to heal from your story. So we're on the other side of our story. We're still healing, but we're functioning in our healing. So, but we're on the other side. You know what I'm saying? We're not 5 years behind. Karen, even in writing your story, you're on the other side. So the people that you talked to who said that you could not do this, that nobody was going to care, you're on the other side of that. And now you see that somebody cares. There are a lot of somebodies who care. And so that proved them wrong. Sometimes I wonder, will people not care? Do you just don't care? That's a difference. There's a difference in this one person and then, the whole world of people. We know we can find people to rally behind anything. If somebody starts standing in the streets, yelling in the street to me, hey, pigs are flying, I guarantee you 3 or 4 people gonna come up and stand with you. They don't even have to see no pigs flying. They just gonna see, you see it right there past the trees. And they gonna say, oh yeah. I think I see it. And they don't see nothing. So there are people that can rally behind anything. So a simple procedure, it starts with a little minute nothing, and it becomes a gigantic something. And it has the power to help you heal through your story. This is the last part of, let's share that again. Your story has the power to help someone heal. And I love the communications because writing, sharing, telling, writing, sharing, telling, writing, sharing, telling. Either way, you're telling your story. You're helping somebody to heal. And guess who's healing in the process?
You are.
You are. So are there any questions? And of course, I am right here. If there's anybody who is interested in telling their story, if you need help, if you say, hey, I have a story, but I don't even know how to begin, I can help you. We can help you tell your story. If you say, hey, I've started writing my story, I don't know the process, what's the process? We can help you with that too. Tell your story. And here's the thing. If you're going to tell your story, tell your story. Don't tell pieces of the story. Tell your story. Because it takes a lot to get to the point where, okay, I'm finally here, I'm going to share the story. It's the same anxiety. It's the same anxiety for sharing half a story as it is a whole story. So just share the whole story. You know how you do, you get a piece of cake and you say, I'm just going to eat a little piece. Really? No, you might as well eat the whole piece. Eat the whole piece. Don't just eat it. Don't taunt yourself like that. Okay. Are there any questions? Anybody have any questions for me? You guys have a couple minutes and I'm going to give you guys a chance to ask me anything you want to ask me within reason.
LaQuita, this is Mary Beal. I'd like to just make a couple of comments.
Okay.
One of the things that when I first started, you want to have the best product you can. And sometimes you hold on to it too long and you don't let it go to publishing, and that may never get published, but we have to release that feeling of perfection. And if we need to go back and do some second edition or second reprint, but we need to get it out there. So that was my stumbling block early on. As I said, I've been taking notes since '69. I did not publish anything until 2011. Okay, so I just want to share that with people. We got to share. Okay.
You are absolutely right. My first book, I published Walking Limitations. And again, I didn't market the book. It was a way for healing for me. So writing is therapeutic. I kept journals and I wrote in college and I did all these things. All my life, I've been a journaler. And I published the book, didn't know what I was doing, had never published a book before. And when I did, so years later, fast forward, I published my first book in 2016, I think. And so fast forward, I had some books left out of the first ones that I published. And I sent the book, somebody called and I sent a book to them. And this is the people are very interesting. Some people focus, Miss Mary, some people focus on the pieces of the story that don't matter and don't give tribute, honor, or attention to the things that do matter. Some people will focus on your pain and not applaud you for your healing. So this person called me and said, I'm reading your story and I'm on page, I want to say 47. And, there's a mistake there. And I said, yes, there is. And well, I just thought I'd bring that to your attention. I said, I do. I said, I know. I said, there are probably a few mistakes there. I said, but I'm not perfect. And I'm not trying to give any excuses. I said, I saw the mistake, and my son at the time, I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, I read this 1,000 times. And that's why I have editors, because you have to take your eyes off of it and have somebody else who doesn't have any connection to your story to look at your story. And I said, and I didn't do that. I did it myself. And my son said, it's fine. Because I was like, strip this down. My son said, it's fine, Mama. He said, you are human. And this shows that a robot didn't do this. Now, this was the first person in all the years of the people who read this story. This was the first person that said that to me. And I said, I could have taken it negatively, but at first, now don't get me wrong. At first I was like, how dare she? But I didn't do that. I said that to myself. And then I sent a message and said, thank you so much for your input. I appreciate that. I appreciate you for bringing that to my attention. I was aware of it, but instead of deciding to destroy books that I had already purchased, I decided to give them away because the story is important. So we are human beings. Even as Pay-Per-View Publishing, we do our very, very best to make sure that that what we produce is quality work that you'll be proud of and that represents us well. But it is not the story. Your story is the story. And we own whatever mistakes we make. But our story, you're right. Sometimes there are people who are so caught up in it being perfect, Miss Mary, that they never get their story out. And you rob people of the opportunity to get to heal through your story, because there are some people who are not as strong as you are. You know, you guys realize that there are people who are in our weakest moment, that's their strongest moment.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they're waiting for you to help them get to our strongest moment. And we struggle. So I like that. I appreciate that comment, Miss Mary. So if you're in the process of writing your story, if you're out there and you're listening to this broadcast and you are in the process of writing your story and you're stalled because it's not perfect, guess what? It's never gonna be, because we are imperfect people, and imperfect people cannot produce material that's perfect. Anybody else have any questions? Y'all making me preach now. That wasn't my intention. Anybody else have a question they want to ask?
I have one more comment.
Okay, Miss Mary.
I listened to Miles Monroe, and people don't know who Miles Monroe is. He was an inspirational leader from the Bahamas, but his comment was that every person has one good book. So every person has one good story, and I believe that.
Yes, me too. Somebody else had a question or a comment?
Yeah, it was just a comment. I was just wanted to say I'm really inspired by you guys, and you know, it's nice to look on and see people stepping up with courage to tell their story. You know, sometimes, as Ms. Mary said, you push your story back because you don't give it the credence that it deserves, because you're looking for people approval. But I think his name is Boswick. Chad Boswick says something: "What God got for you, nobody can take from you." So they can't stop it. So I think that all of us came here. There's no haphazards in life. Everybody meets for a reason, and we all met LaQuita for a reason, and then we met each other for a reason. You know, so I think this is really good, and I'm just glad that God put you guys on my path, just because there are more people I can see that's stepping up. And as they would say, they're fighting a good fight. You know, we're fighting a good fight. We're going forward.
Yeah.
So thanks, LaQuita, for the opportunity. So.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so very, very honored and just excited and happy, and all of those great things, all of those nice things that you guys said about me. For the people who are listening, I only paid them a little bit to say that. So I'll make sure that they all get paid later. No, so all jokes aside, I am very honored. Somebody said yesterday, if you're doing something and you feel like you were born to do this, you're in the right place. If you're doing something and it's a struggle every day to get up to do something that you say you love, then you need to change your path.
That's
And
right.
I am very, very good. I'm honored. I'm excited. I'm blessed. Now, this isn't easy work. And if I've made it look easy, it ain't easy. Okay, it isn't easy work, but it is so rewarding. And I am so honored that I get a chance to hear your stories, number one, and that you trust me to provide a productive platform, a professional platform for you to tell your stories and to help you heal. And guess what? In the midst of this, I'm healing because my pain story is true. My pain story is not embedded in my head. It is not something that I put on myself. It is true. However, I hope that I show people that there is life in the midst of pain, because you can do whatever it is you set your mind to. So I am so excited that you guys have gotten a chance to connect with each other. Pay Pro V is a family. We are a family of authors. We are a family, a team. I don't want to just publish your stories. I want to help you share your stories and heal through your stories. So Laverne, that's what you can expect with us. Kimberly Raven, David Patterson, Miss Mary, Karen Nance, that's what you can expect with Pay Pro V Publishing, because that's what I get from it. So I am so excited to be here, and I'm so excited that you guys took the time to join this segment of So What's Your Story? And as you can see, for all of those that are listening, we all have a story, and all you have to do is get out of your own way, stop overthinking, put paper and pen in front of you and start writing your story. Or as I tell people who don't like to write, everybody got a cell phone. Every cell phone got a microphone. Take that, start talking, text it, talk, text, email it to yourself, go through, look at your punctuations, put your periods where your periods should be, your commas, your quotations, and hit send. Email it to me and I'll put it in a folder for you. So I've just taken away the excuses. Okay. I've just removed the excuses. So now what's your story?
Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So again, if you guys are interested in telling a story, if someone's listening, and if you guys that are on the call right now would like to put your information in the chat, please do, so you guys can connect with each other and reach out to each other. Pay Pro V Publishing, you guys are a team, and we are. I'm creating an authors page, so you guys will be able to connect with each other and share with each other and get to know each other. You can also visit our website at payprovpublishing.com, and you can, see the books if you're interested. Purchase a book, support one of the authors. There are a variety of books, a variety of genres. And if you're listening and you are interested in writing your story can be in the form of a children's book. Your story can be in the form of a cookbook or in the form of a journal. However you want to write your story. I have someone who's doing a story. She's a gardener, and her story is called Sweet Potatoes in the Bucket. And it's all, and that's her story, because getting out in the garden and planting gardens. And she told me a fascinating story about how she grew some sweet potatoes in a mop bucket. True story. I'm like, girl, wait, what they taste like? They taste like mop water. So her story is called Sweet Potatoes in a Bucket. So that's her healing. So everybody's story has a unique flavor to it. So I thank you all for being here. So, once you become a Pay Pro V author, your name is no longer your name. Your name is your story. So I also would invite you guys to join us. I'll send you the information. Karen Nance is we're having a virtual book launch for her book. Her book is called My Father Poisoned Me. And her book launch is on Saturday, the 27th of March at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And I will email you guys a flyer. I will send one to you also, Kevin, so you can share it. If you are interested, please join us and support Karen Nance. My Father Poisoned Me.
Thank you.
David, you had a question?
So you guys that wrote the books already, how do we access it?
You can all of the books they're all available on the Pay Per V website. You can also, they are also all available on Amazon. So, and let me say this too. So if you decide to, you can do it either way you want to. You can go to Pay Per V Publishing. You can go there and see which book you want and look at the book, and then go to Amazon and purchase it. So when you purchase your book from Amazon, please take the time, read the book, and then do a review on Amazon. that gets the gives support to the authors, and it also gets them gets the algorithms in the Amazon and all that to go up so they can be recognized as best-selling authors.
I would also like to add, if I may, that also consider having your book turned into an audible book. And that's what I did. And Miss Raven has been wonderful. And she's been the voice behind Aura. And it's just something a couple of people asked me about. Is it available on Audible for different reasons? Some people have trouble reading. Some people want to listen to their book in the car. So I just would urge you all to reach out to Miss Kimberly, and she did a wonderful job on my book.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did.
Oh, great.
Yes,
So
she
you
did.
read the book.
Thank you so much.
You make it audible.
Yes, so we
Just
can
use the
we can
voice on.
yeah, we can do
Okay.
that. We can do that. We and also so consider pay-per-view publishing for your publishing needs. Websites, I think everybody should have a website, and promote yourselves. Kevin Vaughn, I am so grateful that he is awesome at helping promote. So he has been such a blessing to the Pay-Per-View family, and we are just so excited to be a part of this MLT network. So Kevin, I would like to say thank you publicly once again for allowing me to do my little spiel on your MLT network. So much gratitude.
Well, thank you so much, Sister Parks. Y'all better give God some praise here. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all give God all the glory and all the praise.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Wow, what a beautiful afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. What a great time. Sister LaQuita, I want to give it back to you before we close out there, but you anything else?
I just want to say, hey, if you want to write your story, just do it. Just start. Don't overthink it. Don't pay attention to what people say. The negative talk will have you stop and not start. If you have to talk to somebody, and sometimes we do, run it by somebody. Make sure it's somebody you trust. Make sure it's somebody whose opinion you trust, that won't tear you down, but will help build you up. You don't want the yes person. You don't want the person that's going to tell you yes for everything, because those people not the good ones. Those are the ones that will have you singing on American Idol and have Samuel, what's his name? Simon saying, somebody should have told you before you got all the way up here that you couldn't sing. You know what I'm saying? So make sure you talk to somebody that you can trust, and you can always call me, email me, text me, and I can help you through it. Calling me doesn't cost a thing.
But a book, because once you get the conversation started, she will talk you into about 2 or 3, 4, 5 books, a movie deal, and everything.
Yes, absolutely. We want to help you be great.
Absolutely. She keeps it 100, ladies and gentlemen. She keeps it 100. I love it.
That she does. That she does.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, all across the globe, we are excited about this segment today with Sister LaQuita Parks. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all give her a hand, please, if you don't mind. Give her a hand, because we're excited about what she's doing, and you can understand why we are with her today. And we're just excited about what God is doing in all of your lives as well. But ladies and gentlemen, also want you to know that we are pushing this all across the platforms. We got half the planet probably listening to this right now. So we're excited about that as well. And we just thank God. For those who are just joining us maybe on the network live, hey, we've been talking to these awesome panel today. The topic was a simple procedure. Wow, I want to encourage everybody to go back and listen to this over and over again and take the stories in, and also take some action, right? Take some action as well towards your simple procedure and towards your goals of your book, of your film, of your movie, of your documentary, whatever it is. Pay-per-view publishing can help you. Pay-per-view publishing can help you out there, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, the wonderful time today is What's Your Story? That's the theme, guys. What's your story? I want you guys to blow up the phone there at Pay-Per-View Publishing right now. Y'all need to call her right now. Call Sister Parks to get the process started. And I want you guys to share it out too as well on your network. And this has been out on LinkedIn, Facebook, Nextdoor, Twitter, and Instagram. It's all over the place right now. So get ready, guys, for your books to be flowing and the phones to be going. I love it. So can't wait for you guys to be able to move your books and, of course, get your clientele up and also sell those books as well across the network as well. All right, hey, we get ready to go. Any final thoughts? Anybody else? Sister Parks, anything before we leave you? Everybody good?
Well, I want to say thank you again. And hey, a simple procedure leads to a lifetime of healing. Give yourself the opportunity to help somebody else heal through your story.
Amen. Thank you so much, Sister Parks. And ladies and gentlemen, we want to give God all the praise and all the glory. Let's give him a hand clap of praise if you don't mind before we go. Just want to give God all the glory and praise for what he's doing in our lives. Because he is in charge of everything. So excited about that. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave you now with something we always like to say. Always out love, out forgive, and out serve each other. And remember, Jesus is Lord. Take care, everybody. Have a great day. Sister Parks.
Have a great day, Kevin.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.